from Christchurch into the forum. What I thought I would do today is just do a basic overview of what the manager's budget is and what he's proposed, as well as make note to any of the changes which the mayor has proposed. And then also let you know the schedule that we're on for adoption of the budget and the public hearings. And then we can have some discussion about perhaps some of the more interesting elements of the budget that have been in the public discussions since the manager released it. So just for a couple of things. One thing, Leah Erickson, the director of our budget office, has been here before and has done her basic budget presentation, right? So you all know that when we're talking about the budget, we're talking about the operating budget, capital budget, consolidated plan budget, and that all totals what is about $1 billion. But that when we talk about deficits, and when people focus on a particular part of the budget, it is the operating budget that's under discussion. So, right? Okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the operating budget, which, just kind of as an aside, quite frankly, because people are so, for good reason, preoccupied with the operating budget, probably from your perspective, insufficient scrutiny is given to the capital side, as well as the consolidated plan, just as a point of information for you, if you actually want to go into the entire budget. So anyway, the operating budget that's being proposed is approximately $369 million. It is, of course, a balanced budget because we are required by law to present a balanced budget. The manager is required by law to present a balanced budget. As you know, the projection was that we would enter this budget cycle with a $34 million deficit. And so the manager, in his budget, what is put on the table for council, has closed that deficit. Now, before we actually get into that, how he closed it, I think it's really important for you to understand that $22 million of the $34 million deficit for this year, this coming budget, was directly the result of state actions. Directly the result of state actions. With the elimination, 50% reduction of the local government fund, and the elimination of the tangible personal property tax, and the elimination of the estate tax. Those three things have contributed significantly to the $22.2 billion revenue shortfall. That was within the $34 million projected deficit. So the question is, how do you actually balance the budget if we have that type of deficit? And there are 5 ways in which the manager is proposing: cuts and cost shifting, savings from departments, revenue, embedded growth, and one-time resources. And so let's talk about a few of those things. In terms of cost shifting, many of you may have participated in the priority-driven budget process, and it was a very good process. Interestingly enough, the results of that process virtually totally aligned with the results of the comprehensive plan of 5,000 people involved in putting together that plan. And by that I mean in terms of listing the types of priorities that people felt that the city should pursue. One of the aspects of the priority-driven budgeting process was, however, that people actually ranked great, services that are very important. And so as a result of that, when we were looking for cost savings and cost shifting, he came up with programs that were ranked in the 4th quartile, the lowest quartile in terms of what people said were priorities. And so proposes eliminating media bridges, downtown and neighborhood gateway programs, the juvenile fire starter program, the mountain patrol, arts grants, and reduces human services funding by $610,000. Also, cuts were made to departmental budgets. Now, one of the things that you've always heard for the last number of years is the significant percentage of the operating budget that fire and police constitute. And it is very significant, it's over 65%. As a result of the new chiefs who've come on board, and in the case of the police department, Chief Craig, there has been, a significant reorganization occurring within the police department that has actually resulted in more police officers being available for the street. He also has reduced the number of his assistant chiefs from 5 to 3. He's eliminated 12 management positions. He's seeking to pursue civilianization of 38 positions, all for the purpose of reducing costs. And, obviously, as a result of Chief Braun coming with the fire department, he has found savings in terms of improved efficiencies within fire. And so those departments are in the process of looking very carefully at their budgets. They have to, because there's such a significant portion of the general fund. And each of those, basically what it shows is that the public safety department shows an increase of $1.8 billion in their overall budget as a result of those savings. Now, just so you put that in perspective, given the size of the budgets, that's 0.8%. Just so you know that. Okay. So, I mean, it's important that they engage in this process and reduce and find efficiencies. And we are really urging them to find more and more efficiencies. And they have done that, but relative to the size of the budget and then the size of the budget of their budgets in the context of the general fund, it's not sufficient to close the gap. In terms of savings, the city intends to realize about $5 million from departments, with $3.9 million coming from public safety as a result of attrition and turnover. That's projected in the coming budget. And that's, again, looking at public safety as a source of some of the savings. In addition, one of the important areas that is both a new proposal as well as an area for cost savings is the semi-automation of waste collection. And some of you may have heard about, at one point there was a proposal to fully automate waste collection in the city, and there were some tests which were not very successful because there simply are places in the city where you cannot do a fully automated system, just because we are an older city with neighborhoods that have very narrow streets and have parking on both sides of the streets. You can't go in with these big old automated trucks and just pluck up garbage cans willy-nilly. So this is a semi-automated system. The savings is obviously going to be the result of route improvements, but also the savings is going to be because we expect to significantly reduce the number of worker injuries. Public safety workers, particularly those who work in the garbage sanitation division, have a very high rate of worker injury as a result of the nature of the job. And contrary to what some people might say, well, they're stuck behind a garbage truck, and they're late for work. The reality of it is that our public safety workers actually pick up many, many things that they're not supposed to officially, because they do believe in customer service, plus they would rather pick it up than get complaints about it. But one of the consequences is that there are many, many people in the city who put out things for pickup by the city which really are not allowed. Demolition debris, garbage cans, heavy furniture, expecting that these workers would just simply pick it up and dispose of it. And so the proposal is to do a semi-automation of that, and as part of the budget, to include in that provision of people to residents of the types of garbage toters that can be picked up by machines or by trucks, where that's possible. In order to make that also a reality, this should please, many people in this room, the manager is proposing to eliminate the commingling of yard waste with garbage, which remember we went to as a temporary cost savings. But this system, that would not be something that we would do. He also is proposing that the city completely get out of the